Welcome to the show, guys. Happy weekend. Happy Saturday. We've got a Saturday edition of a morning show here. We do this Monday through Friday, 7 a.m., but maybe we could add a weekend show here as well. And I've got Jimmy Maverick here. We're talking running back busts. We got 6 of them for you. These guys could potentially bust. You need to be aware. You need to be alert. And Jim is here as well to make you aware with me. What's going on, Jim? What's happening, man?
Oh, hey man, just ready for the weekend. It's been a tough week. It's been a busy week, and it's been a hot week down here. We've got this big heat dome over the western United States, and it was hot yesterday. 95, I think, was the high here, which is very high for a place that's at 7,000 feet of elevation. So hopefully that heat wave breaks a little bit today. But I am having air conditioning installed in my studio here, so that'll make it more comfortable for sure.
We definitely don't want to see you on camera with the sweaty armpits and the sweat.
Oh
dripping down
yeah.
your head.
Well, that's why I didn't want to do something last night. We were talking about doing this last night, and yeah, I'm like, it would be brutally hot in this office if we did it then.
Extreme conditions here, and I'm usually out doing my vlogs there too. I'm doing the podcast outside with that mic hold in my hand, and I recorded a show yesterday, and I had to re-record it because the wind was so high. So it's like, okay,
Oh,
these outdoor elements are a little extreme, but here we are putting our lives on the line, outdoors, extreme elements, no air conditioning, just for you guys. That's what we're trying to do here for you.
that's right. That's right, man. We're going the distance here.
All right, let's get into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, guys, smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up. Takes a second of your time, guys. Really helps the channel. We are independent, so hit that thumbs up. Drop a comment. Let me know which guy you think is going to be a major bust this year. We got 6 of them here for you, and of course, grab the 16-round draft solution: sleepers, breakouts, optimal players draft in each round. Everything you need to smash your leagues, guys. I've linked it below, and grab a ticket to the Sports Summit upon checkout. Guys, the 16-round draft solution puts you light years ahead of the consensus. Sheep says, get it below. All right, I just really want to talk a little bit, Jim, here about some breaking news. And you know what? There isn't much. Again, it's off season, but I do want to make a couple good points here that are valid, especially for all you Puka round 1 drafters or thinking about drafting him. I want to make a note here that Cooper Kupp, who was not fully healthy last season, according to Sean McVay, head coach, he looks, quote, he looks strong, McVay said. He looks sturdy. He's having fun. He's enjoying it. According to Mr. Sean McVay, Cooper Kupp is ready. And that's what I'm telling you, man. I think he's going to be a major pest, and I think he's definitely going to help Puka bust out of his ADP. Because remember, he didn't play the entire season last year. Puka benefited and thrived at that. I'm not taking anything away from Puka. I love him, but Cooper Kupp's going to be a thorn. What do you think, Jim?
I'm not super concerned. First of all, it's welcome to smoke season. I get all these little hype notes about players. I do not care what the coaches are saying about the players. I want to see how they're being utilized on the field, how they're participating in practice. That's the things that I pay attention to here. Cooper Kupp is turning 31 this summer. I think he turns 31 this week, actually. Happy birthday, Cooper Kupp. But a 31-year-old receiver, not really a threat to the hot young Puka Nacua, who is basically there to take over as the wide receiver 1. He played as the wide receiver 1 last year. And so I'm really not too concerned about it. We're going to see a decline from Cooper. Just based on age, we're going to just see a decline.
Definitely, but I just think based on where you're drafting Puka, it's very expensive knowing that Cooper Kupp can be a thorn in his side. That's the issue I'm having here. Again, I'm personally avoiding Puka, and that being said, guys like Gibbs love him. Guys like Puka love him, but not in the first round, knowing full well that Montgomery is going to be there for Gibbs, knowing full well that Cooper Kupp, if healthy in a full season, is still the wide receiver 1. And it's coming from a person who absolutely dislikes Cooper Kupp, the guy that told you to avoid him when he came off that pinnacle year, when everybody was riding him. I said, he's going to get hurt, and he got hurt. And, I'm the guy. I'm the anti-Cooper Kupp guy. And I'm telling you that Puka is expensive, and I think Cooper Kupp's going to be a thorn. Remember, Stafford isn't getting younger either, man. He's been,
for me, that's like the biggest risk with Puka is the fact that Stafford is 37 this year. And for me, 36 is kind of like the red line for old quarterbacks. I don't like to draft them older than that because, Tom Brady excluded, of course, they tend to just fall apart and become game managers once they hit
Right.
that age cliff. And so that for me is the bigger risk with both Puka and Cooper this year than the fact that those two are going to be playing together. So
Since we're talking about our running back busts here, guys that to potentially avoid, it's like I had to bring up, Puka here in the news. Another one I want to make mention here. We're not, he's not a bust here, but he potentially could be. It's part of the latest news here. Kyron Williams participated in some drills during voluntary workout Thursday, June 6th. So, guys, I'm really excited about Kyron Williams. But again, they drafted Blake Corum, and that was enough for me. And Kyron is coming to our sports summit. So if you want to ask him personally, we're going to have a chance. And we're not going to get everybody to ask him questions. We're going to filter through some questions. You have a chance to ask a question. I'm going to ask him questions. Jim's going to be on, but my biggest question is like, dude, what's the split going to be? And he's probably not going to be able to tell us, and that's okay. But I really want to know because I think Blake Corum is going to be a thorn. I think Blake Corum drafted he was a top prospect coming out of this draft. So he was drafted relatively high by the Rams. So he's going to be used, and he was a beast in college. So again, the good news is Kyron's back on the field. I posted a video of him in training on my IG. So go follow at Fantasy Football Counselor on IG. But again, you've got him in our Dynasty League, Jim. I mean, aren't you concerned? Blake Corum is special, man. Honestly, I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the issue with Kyron is he's not a big guy. And so I think that this is more of a thing like they don't want to destroy Kyron with a heavy workload. Now, we saw his usage last year was out of this world. It was, CMC levels of usage.
Right.
I don't think his body can handle that for a full season. So I could definitely see them giving a role to Blake Corum, like a 30 to 40% role. But that still leaves a lot for Kyron. And it's a very dynamic offense. Sean McVay is a fantastic coach. It was really such an amazing breakout year for Kyron last year. I'm not super concerned about it. And I'm hoping that they're doing this to manage his usage so that he doesn't take on too much of a load and then gets hurt.
Just be careful. That's all I'm saying. Again, that's all for news here. I just wanted to highlight those kind of points there. And then obviously there's other things going on in the background, like Cortland Sutton skipped voluntary workouts, yada, yada. Just little things going on. Anthony Richardson's shoulder was bothering him a little bit. He rested on the final day of minicamp due to shoulder soreness. And again, you're all about Anthony Richardson. We talked about this. I'm like, dude, I don't trust that guy. If you are investing early in a quarterback, make sure it's a guy that's reliable that you've seen. And all we've seen out of Anthony Richardson is 4 games in injury, and now he's already dealing with shoulder soreness.
That's what ended his season last year was the shoulder injury. He's coming back from that. He's rehabbing that. And so soreness is to be expected if he's throwing the ball a lot. And I get the risk. I understand the risk, but Anthony Richardson is a beast of a player. He is weighing in at 255 right now.
Right.
That's bigger than Cam Newton. You remember Cam Newton during his heyday.
Yeah.
He's bigger than Cam Newton. I believe he is bigger than Derrick Henry.
Wow.
And I'm just like, how are you going to tackle this guy? I mean, he is just going to carry defenders with him. Plus you got Jonathan Taylor in that backfield. I mean, we're going to talk about Jonathan Taylor, but I'm just like, yes, he is risky. He absolutely is risky, but that ceiling that he offers is so tantalizing. Because of just the physical specimen that he is, the athlete that he is. I'm talking myself into it, counselor. I'm talking myself into it.
I'm talking myself. I was never talked into it, so I'm not talking myself out of it, but I'm telling you, I'm talking you out of it. I'm not doing it, man. There's way more safer quarterbacks to get, especially at the ADP. All right, let's just get right into it. Potential busts here. We got 6 of them for you. These guys could absolutely crush it as well. That being said, and then we're going to have a bit of a battle. We're going to box it out here because I disagree with some, and maybe Jim disagrees with some of my guys, but let's get right to it. Your first guy, Jim, Saquon Barkley, man. Why is he going to bust? Because I like him this year.
Well, again, you're the big guy about the workhorse. And when you have an elite rushing quarterback like Jalen Hurts, there is no workhorse running back because Jalen Hurts last year took like 148 rushing attempts and he took all the goal line work. He got 15 rushing touchdowns, mostly with the tush push. That is what this team specializes in. And so I'm looking at, okay, so Saquon Barkley, he clearly is moving into a better situation, a better team, better coach, better offensive line. This should help his efficiency. It should bring things up. But if they don't utilize Saquon around the goal line, and also there is a lot more competition for targets on this team than there ever was on the Giants. How much volume can he get? I looked to see what Swift did last year in this backfield. He got 229 touches,
That's
which
what
is
I looked
pretty
at.
good,
Yeah.
and 49 targets.
And he
He ended
sucked.
up being that's good volume. It's not terrible. It's good volume. He ended
Yeah.
up being the running back 23 on the season. And while Saquon clearly is better than DeAndre Swift, Saquon's going off as like the RB7 right now, the 6 or 7, right in that range. And I just don't see how he pays off on ADP. I kind of see his ceiling as an RB2, and that means that he is risky, and he's just not going to get the touchdowns that you think he's going to get. Swift only got 5 rushing touchdowns to Hurts's 15. I could see maybe Saquon can get it to 10, which would help a lot, but I still don't see him as anything better than an RB2, which means that I don't really want to spend that kind of draft capital on him.
Well, that's where you and I are going to disagree here. And again, let us know in the comments who you guys agree with on the Saquon thing, because we got to talk about this. First and foremost, Saquon is like light years better than Swift. I looked at Swift's numbers. The guy is absolute garbage. He started 16 games in the first 3 seasons, and even crappy old Swift on that offense had 229 attempts, over 1,000 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That being said, when you look at quarterbacks that rush a lot, including Hurts, man, that was a lot of rushing touchdowns. So that's going to decline. I think they brought in Saquon for the fact to alleviate that. Then you got the tush push, which was headed up by Jason Kelce, who's no longer on that offense. So I imagine, Hurts taking a regression in regards to rushing touchdowns, an increase with Saquon. The only way Saquon busts is if he gets hurt. He's on a good offense. He's going to run. And you got to give him some credit here, man. This guy was on a terrible offense, bad quarterback play with a rushing quarterback as well, with Daniel Jones. But now he's on a real offense, real opportunity. He's hungry. He's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder with all of those fans from the Giants saying, "Why did you go to the Eagles?" And he's like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm on the Eagles." So he's got something to prove this year. And I really believe he has a good year. That being said, he still is expensive. Am I drafting him? If he's there, I like other options, but he's still a 16 rounder. And I think barring any injury, he's going to be amazing this year. So we disagree on this one.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just feel his ceiling is capped. Touchdowns are so important to what a running back will do. And when you have another player on that team that's going to take a majority of the goal line work, that's going to negatively impact your ceiling. I mean, it's just like, and so
Okay, hold on a second.
I just can't justify his ADP for what he is projecting to get. And so therefore I want to stay away.
But hold on a second. You're comfortable drafting Gibbs and Montgomery's there. This guy's only contending with a quarterback. He's got nobody else in that backfield that's going to affect him. So
that's true. But Gibbs is the primary receiving back. He gets, he's going to get like 100 targets, which is fantastic. That's very valuable. And he was taking more and more of a role around the goal line away from Montgomery at the end of last season. I see that continuing this year. So that's true. I mean, again, you're right. It's a similar situation, but I think that Gibbs is more of like an Alvin Kamara type player who is just going to get lots of high volume touches and targets, and his ceiling isn't capped like I feel that Saquon's is. So
fair enough. We're gonna agree to disagree on this one because again, I just still think that he's got no committee there. And I think honestly, Hurts is going to regress in regards to rushing touchdowns. And I just hate contending with Montgomery. So it's going to be interesting. These two, something to watch. All right, my guy here who's actually, here's the thing. I'm going to be straight up with you. I'm just a transparent, straight shooter. I reckon he's in the 16-round draft. So the guy I'm talking about is Josh Jacobs, okay? I like the situation. But the problem is, I'll give you some of the problems here. You just want to be aware of it. He's a potential bust. I'm not saying he's going to bust necessarily, but I just need you to be aware of this guy, okay? Just be aware. Okay, he's on the Packers. They've got, I think Dylan's still there. I'm not really concerned about him. But
Dylan is there and he sucks.
yeah, but they did draft Marshawn Lloyd in round
Right.
three. He was a top running back prospect, 5'9", 215. He averaged 7.1 yards per carry in college last year at USC. He has one small issue, and that is that he's had an issue with fumble. So ball security is the only issue with him. He ran a 4.46. He's a good running back. He's got a nose for the end zone. He runs hard. He's one of those guys that just like, his name is Marshawn. He kind of reminds me of Marshawn Lynch a little bit to some degree. Not as beastie, but he's aggressive, man. He runs hard. So again, when I look at these two guys and I look at their running style, Marshawn Lloyd could run harder on some plays. And I'm just afraid that this is going to be a Gibbs and Montgomery type situation. And Jacobs coming off a terrible year, 3.5 yards per carry last year. His only real amazing season was in 2022. We had the 1,600 plus rushing yards, and he had the 12 touchdowns. That was a good season. Regressed last year. And I don't know, man, Jacobs has never been like an outstanding running back. He's never been like, oh, wow, this guy's explosive. He's like Gibbs type playability. I don't know, man. I'm just like, third round is kind of where he's coming off. So I'm a little concerned with Lloyd. And it's one of those situations where it's like, maybe I'll get Lloyd later, and I got myself a good running back and maybe a 60-40 split instead of spending a third round pick on Jacobs. All I'm saying is draft with caution. I mean, it sounds like you're all over him, Jim. You love Jacobs this year?
Yeah, I mean, I love his situation. This is such a better situation than what he had in Las Vegas. It's a massive upgrade. The whole team is a massive upgrade for him. And I really see Marshawn Lloyd as a guy that got drafted to basically take over A.J. Dillon's role, because A.J. Dillon is terrible. He's just on a one-year contract. He's not going to be there next year. So I really see him as more being that backup. I mean, they paid Josh Jacobs a ton to be there.
Yeah.
They're not going to pay him a ton and then not utilize him. So I'm really not too concerned about Marshawn Lloyd. I think he will have a role, but I don't think it's going to negatively impact Josh Jacobs. I think he's going to be great. It's a great situation for him. This team definitely has Super Bowl aspirations, and I want to be a part of that. So
yeah, I mean,
I'm still drafting Jacobs.
Yeah, and he still could have that workhorse low type play, but I think Marshawn Lloyd might be a thorn. But I mean, we're getting that with all types of running backs. I mean, even Breece Hall, they got Braylon Allen there, who's an absolute beast in college. So I think nobody's really safe. I mean, Bijan, I feel, is the safest out of them.
And there's still Algier for Bijan. I mean, there's Algier is there. So yeah,
we know that animal. We know that beast. We know that kind of what to expect. We know what we're up against there. And we know that he had 186 attempts based on terrible play calling by Arthur Smith. So that's definitely going to regress. So that the gap between Bijan and Algier is already big, right? But we don't know. I mean, what if Marshawn Lloyd comes out on the first drive, explodes for a big play, and runs for a 90-yard, rush? I mean, and then, oh, wow, Marshawn Lloyd's on the roster. Now it's a 50-50 split. We don't know. But with Algier, we know that he sucks. Like, he's just a mediocre little engine that could, he's just not that good. With these guys, there's some upside. Like Blake Corum, very explosive running back. Could be a problem for Kyren Williams, right? And Kyren Williams, like you said, a little undersized. So we got to be aware of this stuff, guys. You got to be aware that you can't get upset, man. I drafted Josh Jacobs in the third round. Marshawn Lloyd came and exploded. Well, the counselor talked about it back in May. So be aware of that, okay?
And it's June, counselor. It's not May anymore.
Oh my God! See, it's June. See, I'm totally. Yeah. See, well, yeah, whatever. I think I mentioned Marshawn Lloyd back in May, but yeah, I get the point. All right, next guy here. I can't believe it's June already. All right, your next guy here, Mr. Jonathan Taylor. You're thinking that he's gonna bust. What are your thoughts here, man? That's pretty crazy. He's a great player.
I don't know if you're going to notice a theme among my running backs today, but this is another player who is paired with another elite rushing quarterback in Anthony Richardson. And we already had talked a little bit about Anthony Richardson, how he is beasting up this year and he's gigantic. Again, I don't like to draft running backs that play with rushing quarterbacks because the rushing quarterbacks steal all the goal line work. And that's what I feel is going to happen here. Not to mention the fact that Jonathan Taylor has been extremely disappointing for the past two seasons. Lots of injuries, lots of issues. That makes me very concerned. I like the duo. I like the duo in this backfield. I think it's going to be a very exciting offense, especially if they both can stay healthy. But again, it just caps his value. how much goal line work is he going to get if you got Anthony Richardson, who's 255 pounds, that could just push his way into the end zone. Running backs, what are their high value targets, and there's high value goal line work. And if you take away the goal line
Right.
work, you're capping their value, and then they can't really be that elite option for you. So frankly, I'd rather have Richardson. I'm saying it again. I'm talking myself into it. I want this 255-pound monster carrying the football into the end zone because he will do it.
Did you call him Fredericton? You mean Richardson? I think
Richardson.
I think you called.
I thought I said Richardson. I don't know.
Fredericton. I'm hearing things. I'm looking at stats here. I'm listening to you. So yeah. Jonathan Taylor. I mean, his best year was 2021, 18 touchdowns. He'll never see that year again. I mean, the guy played 11 games in 2022, 10 games in 2023. And he does not look good, but could he do what CMC did, where CMC had those 2 bad years and he came back with a vengeance and came back strong and finished a career? But again, little competition, no competition actually in the backfield. He is the man, but then you're contending with a running quarterback, which is really, really annoying. So you think you're free and clear. These guys are workhorses, but no, you're contending. And that's the same situation with Derrick Henry, man. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, all workhorse running backs. Top 10 upside, 18 rushing touchdown type upside running backs, but then you've got these quarterbacks that are running. It's beyond annoying. Beyond annoying. Dude, it's beyond annoying. That's all I got to say.
Right. And I don't remember who the quarterback was for the Colts in 2021.
Was it Brissett?
It wasn't a rushing quarterback. It was like
let me take a look at that. Let me look. I think it was Brissett maybe. Let me look that up actually while we're here. 2021 quarterback was Carson Wentz.
Yeah. So again,
there you
that's
go.
You know, that's another reason why I like Josh Jacobs is the fact that Jordan Love is not a running quarterback. I mean, he does run. He got like 4 rushing touchdowns last year, but it's not a guy that dominates the goal line. He's going to pass the ball or hand it off. So that's what you want. That's what you want your running back to be paired with. So he's not going to have all his goal line work taken away from him. So, yeah.
All right, we got 3 more backs to get to. We kind of talked about this guy earlier here. DeAndre Swift, man, I just don't like this guy. I don't think he's good. I never thought he was good. I talked about it earlier in this episode. 16 games were played in the first 3 years combined. That's typically one season. He took him 3 years to get 16 games. Hasn't been able to stay healthy. Had a decent season last year, 229 attempts on a good offense. Now this is what I hate, and it's happening as well. Again, in a perfect scenario, I want to see true workhorse running backs. They paid this guy a lot to be the starter on the Bears. It's ludicrous, man. It's absolutely ludicrous because he's not a true RB1. They've got Khalil Herbert there, just for some reference here. He was a round 6 pick, 4th season now, done nothing. They got Rashawn Johnson, who was a 4th round pick. I think it's the 2nd or 3rd season. He was a 4th round pick. He did nothing, but Rashawn Johnson could be the only guy that could step up here. And Jim, we were talking about before the show. If you don't like Swift, why don't you get Rashawn Johnson? I don't like this offense. I don't trust this offense. It's a rookie quarterback. Caleb, again, they've got so many wide receivers going on. I'm staying away from this entire offense. I'm just going to let somebody else draft these guys. Let them figure out all of this like shifting and Tetris type shift. It's a disaster, man. I don't trust Swift. I don't like him. He's not a 16 rounder. That's my thoughts on him. Do you see any value here, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, I can. And I am of the mindset that if an injury riddled player can come out and play a full season, it wasn't a contract year for him, but he was able to do it. I'm willing to forgive those past transgressions. It's like the same with Lamar Jackson. Like Lamar Jackson played a full season last year. I'm willing to give them another chance. I believe that Chicago has upgraded basically every aspect of their offense. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. And if that's the case, then that means there's going to be scoring opportunities for Swift. Now, having said that, I'm not particularly thrilled about taking him. I think if I was to take anybody on the offense, I might draft him. I don't know where his ADP is right now. Hold on. What is his ADP?
Yeah, I think he's like 4th, 5th.
74. That's not too bad, man. I mean, it's, when you're talking, that's 7th round. That's early 7th round.
RB21.
Taking him as your like number 3 or number 4 running back, that might not be too bad, but I'm not super thrilled about that. He rates as a risky player on my app. And so I'd rather take there's still lots of really good players available around there, but I could see that there's something there. I think he could do something this year. I think, Chicago at least is going to be an 8-win team. So,
RB21. I'd rather have Zamir White as RB23. Way more upside, better player, but we'll see.
yeah, Zamir rates better on my app too. So yeah. But
beware.
Swift rates better than like Pollard, who's right around there too.
That's another
James
thing.
Conner.
I hate this, man. I hate it that the Chiefs just do this because they lie to people, but I love it because I'm going to be light years ahead of everybody. The fact that Pollard is ranked ahead of Tajay Spears is ludicrous. RB26 for Pollard, RB28 for Spears. Spears is the one there. I don't care what anybody says. And also James Conner, which we're going to get to in a second. Let's save that. Let's save it. Next guy here, James Cook. And I agree with you on this, man. This is a disaster of a situation. Rushing quarterback, rookie Ray Davis, and they signed Frank Gore Jr., who's a beast in his own right. And James Cook is not that good. I don't see the hype here. Where's James Cook coming off? Round 4? Like that's
he's coming off pretty early. I think we checked it was like 47 is right now.
That is ludicrous for a guy who's got Josh Allen, who again is going to take a regression in rushing touchdowns this year. He was such a high year last year. But dude, they drafted Ray Davis, man. Ray Davis was a decent running back, 5'9", 215, 5.7 yards per carry in college. I mean, they drafted him relatively, third or fourth round, and they signed Frank Gore Jr., and they've got Josh Allen. Man, I don't trust this offense at all with running backs at all. Give me Kincaid and Keon Coleman and Allen. But when it comes to running backs, dude, they're a disaster. I know this is your guys, Jim. I didn't mean to take the light here from you. I just had to weigh my 2 cents here. I don't like this at all.
Yeah, the issue with Cook, and he actually had a pretty good season last year. He was the RB11, 237 rush attempts. He got 54 targets. That's really good. One big issue though is his touchdowns. Guess how many touchdowns he got last year?
I gotta go back. Touchdowns. I gotta go back and look. Like 2?
He got 2. Yeah, he got 2. Again, it's because Josh Allen is there, right? Josh Allen's taking all the goal line work. And so I think what we saw last year out of Cook is kind of a peak situation. It's a peak James Cook year. Now he has more competition in the backfield. Josh Allen's still there, man. He's still going to be taking, 150 rush attempts during the course of the year. So, I think there's a huge regression risk here. And again, I just don't want these guys with the rushing quarterback. That's the big thing, man. Right. Don't take running backs that play with rushing quarterbacks because they just steal all this high value. It really affects these players and what they can do. I mean,
I disagree
as RB23. He was the RB1 last year, but it didn't matter because he didn't get any touchdowns. I
disagree because I still think Saquon eats because he's got no committee. I still think Taylor eats. He's got no committee. I still think Derrick Henry eats. He's got no committee, but he's got a rushing quarterback. But this is the worst recipe here because he's got a rushing quarterback and he's got running backs that are better than him. I think Frank Gore Jr. is a better running back than James Cook. You'll see. I mean, look at him in college. Take a look at Ramon Davis, a.k.a. Ray Davis. The guy is a good running back, and I just don't think James Cook is a good running back. I think he's okay. I don't think he's outstanding. And you're going to see, man, it's a recipe for disaster. He's going to be a big-time bust. I'm warning you right now about James Cook. Do not draft James Cook. He's in the worst possible situation. He's overinflated in ADP. He's coming off round 4. They got Ray Davis. They signed Frank Gore Jr., and they got a rushing quarterback. He's got bust written all over him. Do not draft James Cook with the 4th round. I'm warning you right now. That's all I got to say about James Cook. I don't trust him.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't think it's a good idea, but I got to say, once he leaves Buffalo and goes to another team that just has a regular pocket passing quarterback, I'm going to be interested in this guy. I think he's good. I mean, he got like, what was his stats last year? 4.7 yards per carry. He's good. He's an effective running back, but it's just that the value, his value is capped because of Josh Allen. So, just like we saw both Zach Moss and Singletary had good seasons once they got away from Josh Allen and played with a pocket passing quarterback. I think you'd see the same thing with James Cook. But for right now, I'm not going to take him. I don't take these kind of players in drafts. So.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of take it back. He's a decent running back because, again, you look at Singletary in that offense. He sucked. And then he went on the Texans. He did better. So I'm wondering if it's just a Buffalo running back curse there. They're just not doing well with Josh Allen. And then going back to your point,
it's not a curse. It's just Josh Allen takes all the value. Josh Allen takes all the value for himself, and he doesn't give it to the running back. So that's it. That's the reason.
okay. Well, we'll see what happens this year, man. It's gonna be, but it doesn't look good for James Cook. All right. Speaking of, let's keep on the James train. Last one here. Again, smash, tap it, slap it. Grab the 16-round draft solution. Put your light years ahead of the competition. Hit that thumbs up. Let's go to the last guy here is James Conner, man. James Conner. Let's talk about him. I looked at his stats, man. He sucks. He was a backup for 4 years for the Steelers, okay? Last year had a good year. Only 1,000-yard rushing season. He barely cracked that with 1,040. 208 attempts to do that. And, 1,000 rushing yard season. And he's entering what is like 7th, 8th, 9th season. I don't even care about him. That's how much I don't care about this guy. Let me just take a look here. What is his season?
He turns 29 this season. So,
yes, eighth season. So the fact again that the Chiefs have Trey Benson behind this guy is absolutely ludicrous. It's lies. Benson is going to be a top 10 running back this year. James Conner will fall off. I'm telling you right now, Trey Benson is the future. He's explosive. He's amazing. He's a great talent. And if you think James Conner is a starter in this committee, then you don't know fantasy football. You don't know anything. You are out to lunch. It's another situation with Tajay Spears, man. Pollard sucks there. And people are not seeing this now, but they will see it. Just like they didn't see Damian Williams is better than Derrick Henry. They all said this. I said, no, Derrick Henry's the beast, and he broke out that year. They all said Baker Mayfield's better than Josh Allen. They think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire, remember that year, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, round one when he was a rookie. I'm like, I don't know about this guy, man. Just be careful. He's on the Chiefs. I don't trust this guy. And he busted, right? It's all this delusion of the mainstream Chiefs. Just last year, Austin Eckler, second overall, I said he's going to bust. He's overrated. New offensive coordinator. He was favored the year before. Or even Tony Pollard, round one last year. I'm like, dude, don't do it. Dalvin Cook, round 5. J.K. Dobbins. Everyone's telling you to draft J.K. Dobbins, round 4 last year. Guys, you got to start thinking. You got to project forward or you're not going to succeed. I see things before they happen because I see the depth chart. You got to be a visionary. And I don't like James Conner, Jim. I don't like this guy.
Yeah, I mean, the dude is 29 years old. I believe he's missed 4 games each of the past 2 seasons. So that's going to open the door for Trey anyway. I think he will start the season as the starter, but with these older guys, they tend to fade very quickly by about week 3, week 4, and then you're going to see Trey Benson really come on at that point. It could be sooner if Trey Benson really nails pass protection. That'll get him on the field more is if he's good at pass protection. But yeah, I mean, James Conner's days are numbered. He did have a great year last year. He got 5 yards per carry. Kind of unbelievable with as bad as Arizona was last year. But there's also more competition. There's more talent on this team than there was last year. So yeah, I think it's Trey Benson's to inherit. He's the heir apparent. It's just a matter of when is it going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not drafting James Conner. I'm staying far, far away. So there you have it, guys. Some busts there for you. Draft with caution, be aware. And again, James Cook not touching. I'm not touching a lot of these guys. I think Barkley's safe. I think Jacobs is safe. I think Taylor's safe. Last 3, Swift, Cook, and Connor, no chance are they going to ever be on my team. No chance. No, not even a chance. So those are my thoughts.
Okay.
All right, Jim. Thanks, man. Appreciate you guys being here. Smash, tap it, subscribe to the channel, and grab 60 rounds, guys. You'll be light years ahead of the Chiefs. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, everybody.
We're out.